You alright, mate? Is this immediately after meeting Nacho? I bet he took the job. I have a feeling that might be why we're lingering. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this episode called Gloves Off. Oh god, it's not good if he needs a beer afterwards, is it? Oh, Mikey boy. Yeah, I thought that was a reference, honestly, to Jimmy and Chuck. Maybe it will be. But considering we're starting with Mike, maybe a Mike-centric, focused episode. Oh, has he already done the job? Is that why he's been paid? And he's got ice on his face. Yeah, black eye. Yeah, okay. Okay, dude, what happened? Flashback, we're gonna go back. He earned that money. Interesting that something's happened to actually put him in a little bit of danger. I think we've only ever seen him one time in danger, and that was the culmination in season 5, right? No, sorry, season 4, of course, because it was the Gus stuff. I think on paper, though, it's a very intriguing start to the episode because, like I say, it's very rare that we've seen Mike in trouble or hurt. And so, like, starting the episode with that, with a very unfamiliar image, 1, but 2, the promise of something having happened that Mike hasn't been able to handle, which is unprecedented to a certain extent. Which again creates that intrigue. Who was the one that Nacho had him see to? And it's also very interesting as well because I guess we've had confirmed that he succeeded. He got the money. He wouldn't get the money if he didn't succeed. And now if they go flashback and show you who it is, tell the audience who it is, if it's someone we know, it's like, oh god, you know what I mean? And it's just building tension. We'll see. I'm getting ahead of myself. I am. Let's see. Hello and welcome to another Better Call Saul Sunday. Welcome one and all. Today is episode 4, season 2, Gloves Off. Thank you for being here, and without further ado, let's get into it. Flamingo check. Do you know, every single week it's very aggressive, so let's just calm it down. Have a nice sip of the old iced coffee. Sorry, I took too much in, I'll be honest with you. That was the most unrefined sip of coffee I've ever had in my whole life. That's impressive. It is impressive. We'll try it again. Take 2. It's not really got the same effect now, has it? Flamingo check. Ba-bam! I'll be honest with you, right? It's sweltering here. It is. And honestly, the idea of having like another fabric of clothing on me is actually not that bad. Well, it's not that bad, actually, yeah. Fair enough. I look like a priest. Oh, okay, we can't be having that. Sorry for any priests in the audience. No disrespect intended. It is all a commentary on my own piety. We give thanks to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Flamingo. Let's roll.
For so many years.
Oh god, I forgot where we were. Is this with Cliff? Cliff, man, it's genius. It worked.
If you or a loved one is a resident of a Sandpiper crossing facility...
Oh god, that is not the room of people you want to see, is it? I'll be honest with you, they look so dusty. Sorry, that's such a rude word.
Jesus, you used your own voice?
What's wrong with his voice?
505-242.
Go on, what's the issue, lads?
Production costs, $647. All in.
That's got less.
Airing was a $700 ad.
Okay.
I got a little ahead of myself, a little exuberant, and for that, I apologize.
Okay, good.
We've gotten nearly 200 phone calls since you and I spoke last night, 72 more.
Boom. Hey, those are numbers, dude.
That's the sound of victory.
Jimmy, stop selling. We are a team at Davis and Maine. This is a team approach.
Okay, this is the thing. Sorry, and I'm not a lawyer, so maybe I just don't get it, right? I'm not tuned into that world. He absolutely messed up. He should have just told them. There was no reason for him to do that. I know that I was talking last episode, and I have reasons for that, and I'm sure we can all think of reasons for why his character, why Jimmy did that, right? I get that, right? Pushing that aside for a moment, these guys are like stressing well out about this. I'll be honest with you. Like, crack a beer open. Do you know what I mean? I'm so sorry. As a normal person looking in at all these lawyers, it's like, yeah, I get it. Like, teamwork and all that makes the dream work. But like, it's not a big deal. It's fine. How many people saw it? He said he ran it once. It's not going to damage your reputation. I get that they've got to like crack down on this behavior. I get that. But I'm just like, why are you doubling down? I'm sorry. As a layman, as a normal person looking in, this is the way that they're bothered by it is so insane to me. Like, chill.
Sandpiper's not what keeps the lights on around here.
We have clients who wouldn't want to be associated with this kind of this.
What?
Our image, our reputation is something we've been building for years.
Well,
Suffice it to say, there's not a lot of love for you in the room at the moment.
oh god, bit precious, aren't they?
I believe in second chances.
Boom. This is why we like Cliff.
This is both strike 1 and strike 2.
Yikes.
Going forward, you can expect a great deal more scrutiny.
And this is the thing. I was going to say this is a test now, right? Like, let's see if he can do it. But he can't. I don't honestly think he can. I think the analysis, the way I talked about it last episode, I'm honestly so convinced that he is just this person. He can't do things by the book anymore. I don't think he's capable. Something that I did bring up, and I do want to kind of go over a little bit again and just clarify what I meant, was that I think this is part of who he is now. I think the combination of what happened in Pimento with Chuck and everything that Chuck's done to him in that conversation and all of the trauma that brings, I don't think it's a conscious thing on Jimmy's side of things, but I do think he subconsciously, I don't think he even knows why, I don't think he can actually do things by the book. Not fully. And we saw that last episode. He did everything perfectly. He got to the final hurdle and he couldn't do it. I saw a few people like commenting on that video saying like, oh, you know, no, it's not that deep. He was peddling the idea of he'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission, which I agree with. I absolutely agree that was part of it as well. I think Jimmy's very much that character. I just think it goes deeper than that. I think he walked up to the room and there was something in him. You know when you do stuff and in the moment you don't really know why, it's a feeling, or like you're acting on a feeling, you're angry, you don't really know in the moment why, whatever it might be, and then in hindsight you look back and you're like, why did I do that? That makes no sense at all. Why did I do that? And then you start to examine it and it's like, what did I feel in that moment? What was said? And it was like, it triggered that. So obviously I got annoyed in a situation that it wasn't appropriate to be angry in, or whatever it might be. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think it's like conscious from Jimmy's side of things. I don't think he's consciously kind of going like, Chuck would do it this way, I'm not going to do that. I think it's just a feeling. Do you know what I mean? And I think he walked away from that room because he was like, this doesn't feel right. I don't want to do it. And the stuff that I'm talking about, you know, the self-reflection, because I think it takes a lot of self-reflection in a person to get to a place where you can look back and be like, oh, it was that. I don't think that's something like a lot of people practice regularly. And I think last episode we saw in the meeting in HHM that Chuck and Jimmy are in competition with each other. They are two men coming from very different ideologies. The thing I identified last episode was that Chuck holds the law above all else, while Jimmy seems to array the client above all else and uses the law and everything else he's got to make sure they're getting the best outcome. I do think also sometimes that he uses those skills for people that are not so innocent. We saw that with the guy with the Hot Wheels truck. He's pretty impotent as a criminal, but he wasn't innocent. All this goes to say that I have no faith. I have no faith that Jimmy can be that person who does things by the book. They're like, okay, you're going to be scrutinized. I'm looking at that and I'm like, it's a matter of time because of the things I'm talking about. And because of what happened last episode and what I saw last episode, I think because of what Chuck did, he can't do things by the book. Because that was, let's not forget, that was exactly what Chuck wanted him to do. Everything that we saw before Pimento, Chuck trying to instill in him. He was like, nah, you got to be self-made. You got to do it yourself. You got to put the work in. You got to do your time. You got to do the $700 clients and stuff. Go down to the courthouse. It's experience. You'll get experience and all this stuff, right? And that's very much what Chuck was trying to instill in him. And so anything related to that way of doing things, I do think there's that internal reluctance, apprehension, a part of Jimmy that despises doing it by the rules now because of what Chuck did. Again, I'm not putting everything on Chuck here. I think there's a level of immaturity there on Jimmy's side that he absolutely feasibly could get over that. It would take self-reflection, it would take maturity. I mean, I guess time will tell to see how much of that he's got, right? But I also think combined with that Marco, everything, the character development that we saw in Marco coming out of season 1 into season 2, combined with what I'm talking about with Chuck, I think means that he is this person who is letting himself be himself more. He's got the thing with Chuck moving him away from the straight and narrow, and the thing with Marco moving him towards Slipping Jimmy, because he's like, it's fine, I am that person, I am who I am, and that's okay. Do you know what I mean? You've got all of those things working in Jimmy to make him the person that can't, like literally can't. He can't do it, even though he's capable, because we saw that as well last episode. He's capable. If he puts his mind to it, if he's motivated, he can find a way. He can find a way to do it by the rules. He can be that lawyer. He can. I know that too. But because of who he is, it's impossible for him. Because of where he's been driven to, it's impossible for him. When Cliff's saying this stuff, I'm like, it's a matter of time.
Yes, ma'am. Let me take your number.
Oh, you can put those looks away, mate. Oh, I like this guy though. Yeah, a little bit of sympathy. I like it.
Come on.
Kim?
Please call me before you talk to Howard.
Oh, God.
It's a simple question, Kim. Did you or did you not know about this commercial?
Oh, wow. Everyone knows about it.
He showed it to
He
me.
showed it to you.
Oh, God. This is getting serious, man.
You didn't think I deserved a heads up.
I didn't realize
Damn. Do you know what? I can get behind him doing what he did, and I can defend him to a certain point. Him lying and pretending like it was fine and making her believe that he asked permission when they were watching the movie. Him doing that and putting her in this situation, I can't get behind that. That's out of order, dude. You gotta fix this. You gotta fix your attitude, because this isn't fair on her, especially what we learned last episode and how much she's fought for him.
I didn't think it was necessary.
Well, you were wrong.
Like, Kim, this isn't your fault, dude.
We were caught flat-footed in front of our co-counsel, which I don't need to tell you does not reflect well on HHM or on you.
Yeah, he's right. This doesn't reflect well on Kim at all.
You can go.
God damn it, all the goodwill that she had with Howard. And God, Chuck's there, of course he is, so he's going to be bringing down the hammer. Alright, we're going to linger on these two boys.
What are you going to do?
Oh my God, everything in that look, you know that look was all about Jimmy. It's like, I told you so. That was so perfect. I almost heard the words "I told you so" in the way that he just... Look at that, so smug. The way that he turns and the eyes and the slow blinks and the "what are you gonna do? I told you about Jimmy, man."
Tuco, he likes to get face to face. I've seen him go like that 5-10 minutes.
That is commitment.
Pull up in the spot next to Tuco's. Pop. Headshot. Roll out.
Yeah, so he's trying to kill Tuco. I told you it would be interesting if it was someone we knew, especially someone we know who isn't dead in the future. When I saw his face like that, and I was like, yeah, it builds the intrigue immediately based on what we know of Mike. And I was like, I have so much faith in their skills as writers that I was like, they're gonna do the thing that is gonna make that even better and hold you in more suspense. And the way that they can do that is make it someone you know. And to be honest, admittedly, Tuco was the easy option. I didn't think of Tuco. I maybe should have, because it's even better. They've added an extra layer because we know he's not dead. But just making it someone we know and then making it someone we know doesn't die here, it builds up that suspense because one, he got paid, so it was successful, but we know he didn't kill him. We know he got beaten up. God, like, do you know what I mean? All the questions that it fires off in your mind, once more they've baked in suspense into the way they've written it that kind of ekes out and wrings out the most intrigue in the audience they possibly could, and out of this situation.
One of them got ideas, decided to kill Tuco, get a cut of the business.
Man, Nacho really making moves, huh?
What's my exit?
Get out and run.
Bad knees.
Got a better plan? Go on, tell me. I'm all ears.
Don't do it.
Killing your partner. That's a bell you don't unring.
Yeah.
See this?
Oh, hello. A little bit of skin.
You know I got this?
All right, Joker.
Tuco just keeps staring at him, then he goes real quiet. You think I'm an idiot, dog.
That sounds like Tuco, yeah.
But suddenly he's got a sawed off and in Dog's face. I was behind him.
Jeez.
A piece of Dog's skull. Under the skin, a little piece of him.
Oh.
I tried digging it out, but it's in there pretty good.
Really?
Anyway, not the kind of thing you go to the doctors for.
That's fair enough, yeah.
Thing about it was Tuco really liked Dog.
Yeah. It's his thing, isn't it? He just kills his mates. Okay, no, I completely get Nacho's side of things.
But when he's using Loco, crazy, and he's using, again, Crystal, much bigger kick.
He's right. Oh, that's brilliant as well, because like if you've seen Breaking Bad, you know he's right. He's right to be scared, especially since it's happened once. And not being funny, when we see Tuco in the future, Nacho's nowhere to be seen. I'm fully on Nacho's side, honestly. And this is the thing, I'm disappointed that Tuco gets out of this, because he does. Because I like Nacho, and I do think, you know, look, I like Tuco in his own way, right? I do. But I don't know, I'm just intrigued by Nacho. He's got a lot of potential as a character, and he's completely right. We see that Tuco kills his mates, kills his henchmen, kills his is it his cousin in season 1? So it's brilliant in the way that it puts you on Nacho's side, because obviously if you're coming from that informed position from Breaking Bad, you're like, no, Nacho's right. It makes you take Nacho more seriously, respect him more as a person, as a character. It gets you invested. The first thing it does, obviously, is go like, oh, Tuco's the target. Well, he's not going to die. We know he doesn't die. So it's hard to almost get invested in it from Nacho's side, because it's like, well, I'm not going to get invested. I know what happens. Because of that, you have to, as a writer, do more to get the audience invested in Nacho's, whatever his reasoning is, whatever his motivations are. Otherwise, you're not going to feel anything. The only emotions you're going to feel are being maybe upset because Mike's getting beat up, right, from what we saw. Which, like, fair, fine. But as always, I feel like the writers have been like, yeah, but that's just one thing. Why not get the audience invested another way as well? And by doing that, by verbalizing and Nacho having a story, of Tuco having, you know, hurt him. Invest you in his motivations. That moment where you as the audience go, he's right, you're on his side. I think something this show and what Breaking Bad did so well is it invests you, one, in the characters, two, in the situations happening. You see it from different sides. You're invested in Mike, you don't want him to get hurt. You're invested in Nacho as well, with very little, right? We've had very little screen time from him, and yet they've used that screen time to get you behind him in different ways, right? Which means that anything that happens later down the line is going to hit so much more because of that. And it's subtle stuff, right? It's not necessarily big events happening. It's down to depictions. It's down to like how I saw Nacho interacting with Tuco in season 1. It's how I saw him interacting with Jimmy in season 1 as well.
Tuco really liked Dog. Kind of felt bad after.
He can like you all he wants. Doesn't mean you're safe.
So,
matter of time, innit, mate?
if Tuco finds out about my, you know, independent ventures,
Also
it's gonna
true.
be Dog all over again.
Yeah.
It's him or me.
Fair. I'm invested. I get it. That makes sense. How is this gonna go?
Man with a scoped rifle could get a clean shot. No witnesses, clean egress.
You can make that shot?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
50 grand.
50 grand.
Your brother isn't here, Mr. McGill.
He sent me to get his ink blotter.
Yeah, look at that. Again, subtly showing you that Jimmy is a very likable character. He knows the guy's name. The guy knows Jimmy. He's got that rapport with people. Again.
I should have told you last night.
Yeah, you should.
I knew it would work, and it did. It worked.
Doesn't matter, does it, mate?
Howard can't just stick you in doc review because of something I did. Plus, at an entirely different law firm. What the hell kind of sense does that make?
It's true. This is the thing as well, and I feel like this is why Jimmy's so relatable to the audience, and I feel like it makes it easy to get on his side because, like I said before, I'm the layman looking in. You know, I'm not a lawyer, and yeah, obviously Jimmy is a lawyer, but I feel like he comes very often from the perspective of a layman. Like that right there, I agree with Jimmy. It's like it's not a big deal. Everyone needs to just chill. Stuff like that, it just makes you connect to Jimmy because he so often is saying stuff that you as the audience are kind of thinking as well. Like right or wrong doesn't matter. That enamors you to Jimmy as a person, which means that anything he's likely to do later down the line or whatever he's already done, it doesn't matter because you like him.
I'm talking to Howard.
What, call him a picture again? Yeah, that'll help.
Hey, try it. You never know. He called him that and then suddenly he's working at Davis and Maine, so that's what I'm saying.
Jimmy, no. You'd only make things worse.
I'll explain it to him.
No!
Yeah, I don't think this is salvageable, mate. It's done.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, good on you, mate. Fair play.
If you go to Howard, you and I, we're done.
I'm surprised you're not done already, you know. To be fair, I think this is the first crack.
We're not done now.
Right. Oh, bless her.
I need this job.
Right. Sorry, that was beautiful. Kim's awesome. Like, sorry, the actor playing Kim, she's so good. The double whammy, that little expression and then the line. And I'll go into the line in a second, but...
We're not done now.
Bless him, first of all. Oh, that little, the little movement with the eyebrows. It's like, no, you idiot. Of course we're not done. Bless her. And beautiful, brilliant. I'm glad. I think it is. I think it's the first crack. I was thinking when she was sat with Hamlin and Chuck, I was like, God, this is going to be a big blow for their relationship. But bless her. Bless her. She's like, no, don't be stupid. But then...
I need this job.
Right. And I've not talked a lot about this. I haven't. And I did mention it in a pinned comment on one of my videos. And I'll try and make this brief. I don't know, man. I need this job. Very interesting. Why? Right? Well, that's the question, isn't it? This show has proven that it's willing to bring up the deep stuff. I think we saw that in season 1, episode 6 with Mike and the ACAB element to that episode. This show has shown me that it's not afraid to delve into those kinds of deep subjects, right? These big social commentaries. I mean, look, I'm saying that like it's a new thing. Breaking Bad did that too. The point being that they're willing to address this stuff, come at this stuff, hit this stuff. The idea started in my head a little while ago of women in the workplace. How many women have we seen in the show in positions of power? Lydia in Breaking Bad, I would argue Better Call Saul, Kim, the lone exception to a sea of men. And we've seen, I know in season 1 there were elements of her wanting to prove herself. Jimmy said something, I don't know what episode, I don't know what he said, sorry, it's just a vague recollection of him saying something along the lines of her wanting to get into the good graces of Howard, or that had been a thing that she'd been battling with for a while. Then you see in her body language in season 1 in regards to Howard, she kind of closes up a little bit. She's intimidated by him. She wants to impress him. She wants to put her best foot forward with him. We also had the whole thing of like, yeah, with the Kettlemans, when that all went south, he immediately also pushed her off. Same what's happening here, and punished her for that. I think it would be fair to say that through her career, through her role as a lawyer, she's come up against hurdles that her colleagues perhaps haven't had to deal with because she's a woman. I think there's more to this. I need this job's a little more desperate. And I do think there's a flashback or something in her past that is inspiring that line. But I do think there's probably a need to prove herself. Not that she has to. I think I've seen enough already in the show, and I've not seen loads of Kim in a professional manner, but I've seen enough to see that she's very good at her job. And from what I've seen, little though it might be, she does seem to be fighting a little bit more than her counterparts. I say that like Jimmy's not had to fight for a lot, right? He has. But I think Jimmy's a little bit of an exception. Along with that, whenever something's gone wrong, whenever something like this happens, she's punished a lot. And it's like, sorry, but I find it hard to believe that if it had been a man, there wouldn't be an element of like, I'm disappointed in you, go back to work. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, I think there's more to this. I think there's more to this, I need this job. But I do think there's some element of her wanting to prove to herself and those around her, Howard maybe especially as well, that she can do this and she's good. From what I've seen of her characterization, a big part of that is her career and her job. She's very by the book, by the rules, doesn't want to put her foot wrong, always being careful, probably because she's had to be, because she'll get punished, we're seeing here, and we've seen before, she'll get punished, probably more so than a lot of other people because she's a woman in the workplace, in a male-dominated profession. She's got to be extra careful. I do think her kind of saying, I need this job, I think she'd be very lost without it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You've got to just accept, mate, that this has gone wrong. You've hurt yourself, you've hurt Kim. That look makes me think he's going to do something, that he's not going to drop it. The best thing he can possibly do is go to Chuck. Yeah, he is. The best thing he can possibly do right now is drop it, move on, move forward. Don't do it again. Oh, God. Okay. Oh, aggressive.
I'm coming in!
Him and Howard just getting it on.
Chuck?
Wait, are they actually?
Can you hear me?
Can you talk to me?
I'll be right.
Is this because he's going into the office? This is so interesting because this is the first time we've seen these two together since Pimento in this kind of setting. Yeah, bless Jimmy. Despite all that anger, as soon as he sees his brother in pain, he drops it and helps. Oh God, bit of a change up in it.
I got the loophole Mark IV.
Oh, this guy, oh perfect, he's the gunman, isn't he?
The M40, the same rifle used by Marine snipers. You seem to know this one.
Oh, yeah.
Biggest difference is the stock.
Wood, warped like hell. Somebody probably should have figured that out before they sent it into a damn jungle. I've changed my mind. For your trouble?
Oh, it's no trouble. When you need one I'm offering, you know how to find me.
Oh. Despite the inclusion of guns in this, which, look, I know a lot of Americans watch my channel. I'm so sorry. Adamantly against them in general. I do appreciate people talk about what they know and you can feel the passion and the knowledge. There's something about that whole scene, that interaction, the back and forth that was just kind of nice to watch. Yeah, Jimmy's definitely here. Well, we know he's here to beg for Kim, but I think he's going to put himself on the line. He might even offer to pull out of this whole thing. I think Jimmy's very much in an emotional state right now that will make him say whatever he needs to get Chuck to help Kim.
Going into the office really takes it out of you, doesn't it?
I stay too long, yeah.
There's so many important things for you to do there. Like, you know, stick it to Kim Wexler.
There we go.
What did I do to Kim Wexler? Management of personnel, those decisions are all Howard's.
That is rich.
Yeah.
But tell me, when Howard was making his management decisions, was he sitting on your knee with your arm up his ass?
I'm glad that he said something because I was going to. It's like, you know, the complete voluntary ignorance on Chuck's side by not acknowledging the influence that he has over Howard.
That's uncalled for.
It's accurate though.
And if Howard were my puppet, he certainly wouldn't have recommended you to Davis in Maine.
That's also true though, yeah.
I know you like to think the world revolves around you, Jimmy.
Rude.
She didn't know I hadn't gotten it approved. She didn't know.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, this is the problem as well. This thing that Chuck got in his head about Jimmy, this is only going to reinforce it. He conned Kim, essentially, right? And that's the I see. He's going to burn himself even more in Chuck's eyes. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's right. He did. He conned Kim. He did. And I said myself that was out of order. He shouldn't have done that. It's just like he deserves to be told off for this, just not everything else. Because I know that this is just going to reinforce the huge bias that Chuck has in regard to him.
I implied it. So it's on me.
Good. I actually do think Chuck is going to respect that, though.
She didn't say anything to us.
Yeah, because of course she wouldn't.
Well, she wouldn't.
Right.
She wouldn't want to make me look bad.
Yeah.
You have to admit this shows a lack of judgment on her part.
You are such an
Correct.
Can we get some perspective here? It was a simple little commercial. It aired once.
Yeah, again, him repeating that, and exactly everything that I said. This layman almost, because he's parroting. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm misjudging, but I feel like most of the audience was probably coming from that perspective as well, as like, dude, it's not that big a deal. I completely get what Cliff and the Dusty folks were talking about, right? Reputation and blah blah blah, and reputation is important. I know, especially in this world, they're all hoity-toity lawyers in expensive suits, and they've got to be taken seriously, and they've got to maintain that. I get it. It's not going to stop me from thinking it's a little bit silly that they're all getting so mad and messed up and anxious about one little commercial that aired one time. But again, and it calls into question of like, what are they there for? Jimmy literally did that, and it helped. It got what, 200 and something odd people to call, and that's 200 and something odd people that they, as a law firm, can help. Forget everything you know. On paper, that's a win. That should be a win. Everyone should be ecstatic. And because they're not, there is something inherently a little bit wrong with that picture to me, which is why Jimmy's point of view is so compelling, because that's what he is there for. That's what he's saying. That's what he's doing. That's the person. That's his function in this conversation.
It worked like a dream? You see, that's your problem.
Oh, here we go.
Thinking the ends justify the means.
Oh my God.
What did I do that was so wrong?
You broke the rule. You turned Kim into your accessory.
True.
How he hasn't fired you for this positively mystifies me.
Because despite that, and despite you actually having a little bit of a point in this instance, Chuck, like this isolated incident right here, because he's got a little bit of a point. Jimmy is good at his job. He is a good lawyer, despite all the rest of it.
Perspective. You want perspective? I'll give you mine.
Oh God, okay.
You're my brother.
Oh.
And I love you.
Brilliant.
But you're like an alcoholic who refuses to admit he's got a problem.
Funny that he phrases it like that, frames it like that, because it's kind of what I said last episode. It's this thing, this need in Jimmy to go back to slipping Jimmy. He reverts to this default. And I've talked a lot about why I think he does that. I stand by that. But I would honestly go so far to, again, say that I do agree with Chuck there. I think what Chuck did in his actions, they were very deep-seated, very foundational for Jimmy. I think they absolutely had their way with him too, and were a big influence as well, and I don't think he's admitting or ever admitted his role in that. Don't know if he ever will. Maybe he will, who knows. At the same time, he has got a point. But again, it's interesting that Chuck mentions perspective. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like that's all I've been talking about this episode and last episode in regard to the law question, the perspective of drawing yourself back and being like, what are we here for? Yeah, we got to abide by the law, and that's fair. You know, the rules are in place for a reason. I acknowledge that too. You are also there as the intermediary for your client who you're meant to help. And I do feel like so many of these lawyers are forgetting that. And I get that, you know, he's got his own perspective and everything, but it's like, dude, Jimmy's perspective has merit.
What can I do to put Kim back where she belongs? You want me to quit Davis in Maine? That's fine.
Life is not one big game of let's make a deal.
Yes, it is. You want me to quit being a lawyer? Yeah, a chip with a machine gun. That's me, right? What do you say? You help Kim, I quit the law.
I didn't say that.
No, you didn't say it, but that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's why you put the screws to Kim in the first place, to squeeze me.
I didn't say that, and I would never say that.
Okay.
Because if I were impeding the career of one of my employees for the purpose of compelling you, that would be extortion.
Yeah, it would.
Oh.
You gonna extort me, Chuck? It's a lead pipe cinch. You get away with it. I'm not gonna tell anyone.
Oh, their different ideologies coming to a head. He's throwing Chuck's ideology right back at him, because I think, you know, Chuck's being like, yeah, that's what that is. I think his point in the discussion is like, I'm not doing that, but I think he knows that he is. I believe that he was too. I believe that he's putting the screws to Kim to get to Jimmy. I don't think that's much of a leap. And if what Jimmy is saying and Chuck agreeing that that's extortion, that's what he's doing. He's going to back off because of that. If only to make the point to Jimmy. Brilliantly argued by Jimmy, by the way, using that against him. And it's interesting as well. This here.
For the purpose of compelling you to do something against your will, that would be extortion.
Boom.
Yeah, it would.
That look of victory. Look at this look of victory on Jimmy's face. He's got that out of Chuck. That combined with what we saw before of
life is not one big game of let's make.
There you go. Life is not one big game. Yeah, it's funny that it's preceded by that. because what Jimmy has essentially done, Jimmy's coming from it from this perspective of like anything can be done. All you got to do is do the thing. Whereas Chuck is bound by these rules. Say what you want about the rules that he's abiding by and his logic behind it or whatever else. I don't think you can really deny that he does abide by them. That's the conflict there, right? That's what these two men kind of stand for. And so it's very interesting that straight after this, Jimmy is wheedling his way into Chuck's mind, weaponizing his own ideology against him to get what he wants, because life is a game. And if he's clever enough, wily enough, sly enough, he can get what he wants, which is Kim back in the good books. And he's done that perfectly. And that's where I come back to this look of victory that you see on Jimmy's face. He knows he's won, because if Chuck now doesn't help Kim, then they both know, because no one else can find out. It would only be Chuck and Jimmy that would know. There would be no other repercussions, but these two men would know that Chuck compromised his ideology and his rule set. And his rule set and his ideology is everything to him. We've seen that. And if he ever goes back on that one bit, he's Jimmy. Which you know his characterization can never do. In the same way that Jimmy, I've been talking a lot about Jimmy having this thing in him now that he can't ever do something the way that Chuck does, right? He's got this feeling within him. Chuck can never do anything that in any way makes him Jimmy. And then part of that is stupid male bravado in that they both declared themselves, right? Especially in Pimento, Chuck declared himself as, this is who I am. And so now if he ever goes against that, he's less than. And in his mind as this egotistical man that we've seen he is, this privileged person, if he ever proves himself to be less than what he thinks of himself and less than what he kind of professes and shows to everybody else and he's so proud of, even if it's just Jimmy and him that know, he can't take that. Jimmy's won. It also proves that as dangerous it is, Jimmy's viewpoint on life, this idea of it as a game show, bartering, deals, it's viable.
Yeah, it would.
I love that look.
You gonna extort me, Chuck? It's a lead pipe cinch, you get away.
Yeah, look at that look on Chuck's face.
It's real easy.
He knows he's been trapped. He's like, oh no, he's got me. I've got to put Kim back. And that's what I mean, is that I think they both know that Chuck did that. I don't think he'll ever admit it, but I think the way that he behaved and probably manipulated Howard to act in the way that he did in regards to Kim, I think it was very purposefully to hurt Jimmy. He knows that, Jimmy knows that, and that's the important thing. So if he ever doubled down on that, they would both know that he's gone against his code, which he can never do. And look at that look. He knows it.
You're a man of your word. You're an upstanding man, right?
There it is.
You want me to commit a felony?
Roll around in the dirt with me.
I am not the bad guy here. You don't want to be a lawyer. That's between you and the New Mexico State Bar.
Very interesting.
I'm not gonna do it.
Interesting. Sorry. Yeah, he's not going to do it. And sorry, it brings me back to that scene with the gunman and how he was reminiscing about something. We don't know a lot about Mike's past, right? Other than obviously he was a cop. Do they have those guns? Would he have shot one of those guys? There was mention of the army or something, right? And Mike was kind of talking like he fought in some capacity that wasn't as a cop. And so I wonder whether there was an element maybe of that coming back into play and making him internally go, I don't want to touch this kind of gun again.
I told you that
it's
I'm
a
not...
bad move because it doesn't solve your real problem.
Oh, he's got an alternative.
A dead Tuco draws Salamancas like flies. Cartel noses into the business.
Yeah, they would. He's right.
But something's gonna happen.
Yeah, this is teeing up a separation of Nacho and Tuco, isn't it? Which is making it much more likely that he's going to be alive in Breaking Bad and just wasn't with Tuco.
You don't need him dead. You need him to go away.
Right. Tampico. I recognize that. Was that on the bath? No, the baby bed. The cot in Breaking Bad. Am I insane? I can't remember. Yes, it is him. I told you. Yeah, because the cot, I remember someone told me in the comment, was created by his dad and his business. And because in Breaking Bad, that was a reference to Domingo. It's Domingo, right? Sorry, yeah, I clocked it. I clocked the Tampico van. I just wasn't quite quick enough to clock him. My bad. Oh, look at him. He's so green. I love it. Oh, he's a snitch as well, isn't he? I wonder if he's a snitch right now. I don't know if he is.
Till next time, huh?
Sorry. Too great. What a stash, man. Oh, dear Lord.
I would like to report a fight going on. There's a man threatening another man with a gun.
Oh, he's gonna work Tuco up to have a gun on him, and they're gonna find Tuco with the gun on him, right? Yeah.
Hey, Pops, you better listen to the man.
Come on, guys.
Give me your wallet.
Oh man, imagine if the cops just didn't turn up for like...
I'm not giving you a damn thing.
I'm an idiot. I forgot about his bruised face. They must take their time, huh?
Hey, Tuco, Time to bounce. Yeah, go.
Yeah, Tuco's got the boxing gloves on his, like, round his neck.
One lucky old man. The hell?
Yeah, you gotta instigate it.
Let go!
Yeah, that man earned his money. Tell you what, yeah, that's good timing. I know that he heard them, right? So that's why he did it, but...
That all you got?
Ooh, you are public enemy number one, though. Fair enough. Yeah, I am just thinking a little bit, actually, as to allegiances, because Gus is against the Salamancas, right? And obviously Mike ends up going to work for Gus. I wonder if there's anything to that, because we're seeing that he's antagonizing the Salamancas here. Maybe that's Gus's in. Maybe that's what puts Gus on in his favor.
Wow.
Yep.
Look at you.
Got the job done, though.
He gets a 5 to 10 stretch.
Wow.
Definitely earned it.
Yeah.
You could have gotten twice as much for 1/10 the hassle. Plus, when Tuco gets out,
Yeah.
maybe he comes looking for you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something more to it, isn't there?
Just saying you went a long way to not pull that trigger.
Yeah.
Why?
War-torn past. There was something with the guns, with that conversation. Yeah, he mentioned the wood warping in a forest. I feel like there was something, like he was speaking from experience as opposed to just speaking from something he'd learned from someone else. Do you know what I mean? He's an old guy. I wouldn't put it past him having fought in some kind of war. Because it was the guns. He was on board. He was ready to do it. It was the guns and stirring up a recollection in him that made him not want to touch that gun, not want to use it again. You even had the gun guy saying like, "Oh, it looks like you've used one of those before." I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Was he a veteran? Was he a soldier? Maybe actually there's more to him not want to take these bigger jobs, right, from the vet guy and, you know, breaking legs, killing people, than I was giving credit for as well. Perhaps there's an element of he's had a little bit of a traumatic past in regard to that, doesn't want to go back to it. I mean, that would kind of also explain, he's a good guy, it would explain why he was a dirty cop, right? If he was coming from, you know, I don't know, some kind of field of battle, some campaign, some war, and then come in and being a cop and like, oh, suddenly there's money, it's not really hurting anybody, you shouldn't really take it, but it's not as bad as what I was doing over there. Do you know what I mean? There's something to be said for relativity when you're talking about morals. If he's experienced something where he had to do the worst things in the world, perhaps the things that he might have done as a dirty cop were nothing in comparison to that, which would have made him justify it in his head a lot easier. Doesn't make it right, explains perhaps some of why he was maybe a little bit dirty when he was a cop. Yeah, interesting episode. More of the same, honestly, from Jimmy. I think, you know, the things I was talking about last episode, I haven't changed my mind. I think if anything, this episode has gone quite far to make me more certain. You know, he's acted in a way this episode that follows through, I think, with the theories that I've had and the things that I've been seeing from his character. I think it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time until he leaves Davis and May, and it's going to be interesting to see how that happens, though, how that works, especially this conversation, this episode with Chuck. It's interesting, we almost saw a role reversal this episode in regards to Chuck and Jimmy, and I'm curious how much of Jimmy's motivation is actually trying to get Chuck to tarnish his own code that he holds so dear, that he, you know, like I say, waved in front of Jimmy's face in Pimento. It's going to be interesting. I'm not sure where it's exactly going to end up with them two. You know what I mean? Like, maybe that happens. Maybe he brings Chuck down into the dirt for a second. Maybe he gets Chuck to actually admit for a moment that he is a good lawyer despite the rest of it. Maybe they go head to head later down the line and maybe Jimmy comes out on top. Maybe Chuck does, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Again, so many possibilities, you know, they could go so many different ways with that. All of those things could happen in some way or other. I would quite like to see a little bit of growth from him at this point. I think there's an element of something a little bit boring if he just kept on this path of doing this over and over again, constantly breaking the rules, just a little bit. That's all well and good. He's done that a lot. He's done that almost exclusively with everything that he's done, right or wrong. It would be nice to actually see a little bit of character progress and for it not to matter in the end because it's gone too far anyway, you know, for whatever reason. I feel like that might happen. It would be more painful if, you know, I as the audience was watching him and he was actually making progress as a character, maturing a little bit, and maybe circumstances dictate that he goes back to it. From an audience's perspective, maybe it's completely understandable, but the characters in the show, Chuck, I'm thinking of, all he sees maybe is that he breaks the rules again, right? Regardless of the reason why. Sorry, I'm again fully into speculation mode now, but yeah, like I say, I think I've said this before in regards to Breaking Bad 2. Whenever there's been something that I've wanted to see, or whenever I've started to get a little bit bored of something, I'm like, they should change that up. And I feel like every single time consistently they have. And so now I would be looking for a little bit of of progress, a little bit of change in Jimmy. Like I say, I don't think it will matter in the end. We know where he goes. But yeah, that's what I want to see. So we shall see. And as well as that, I want to see some progress in Chuck. I want him to come around a little bit, right? I want to see some progress in this. I want to see a little bit of development in this relationship that they have. I want to see Chuck seeing more of Jimmy in the way that I see Jimmy. And it's like I said, I think Chuck has a point in some of the things that he was saying this episode. Does it make me like him? No. Does it make him ultimately right? Down to debate. I don't think so though. Anyway, thank you. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You deserve more respect than that, mate. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Better Call Saul Sundays. We will be back next week. I hope to see you there. Thank you, as always, to my beautiful patrons. Thank you so much for your support. Hey, why not try this video right here? YouTube has specifically recommended it for you, mate. So just click it. Keep the good times rolling. Other than that, thank you once again. I'll see you soon.